What's going on, guys? It's Karl here, back with another episode, and finally, the revisited review, 30 days with the Galaxy Note 9. It almost seems like yesterday I was in Brooklyn with the launch, but I've used this as my main driver for the last month, and I have mostly 95% good things to say about this guy, and I do think it is worth the $1,000 price tag. And maybe let's start off with the things that I am not too fond of, and the first, I think most of you probably know, is Bixby. Although it's gotten better, I really think Samsung in the next couple years needs to figure out if they're gonna keep trying to improve it, keep dumping money into it, or if they should just go the route of Google Assistant. It's not as accurate and doesn't go in depth as Google, and I honestly haven't even updated it on my Note 9 since launch. It's kind of that stickler that I don't like to talk about. And Bixby out of the way, I can't have too many bad things to say. Maybe TouchWiz, I know it has a bit of bloat. It's gotten way better, definitely usable, and I think you don't even need to stick a stock launcher on it, which I've done for most of my other Samsung phones. And maybe this is something with my device or maybe my lifestyle. I have noticed a couple scratches on the screen, even though I've tried to be super careful. It does have the latest Gorilla Glass on it. Just be careful, as most of this guy is display and it is gorgeous. I would say this is the best smartphone display currently on the market. Gorgeous to look at. Whether you're using it indoors or in direct sunlight, you can see perfectly what's going on. It is crystal clear, and honestly, it's the display that turns most heads if I compare that to, say, my iPhone, which does seem a bit dimmer. I know we've got the iPhone XS, XS Plus. With the rumored new OLED panels, this currently takes the cake and is my favorite device for media consumption. And that's also because of the size, 6.4 inches. It's a behemoth, maybe almost too big for one-handed use. Never thought I'd say that for a smartphone. I'm generally a fan of the Note series because of the larger screen, but sometimes when you're reaching up to the top corners, I tend to use two hands to grab something this big.
That's what she said.
But watching media content, YouTube, playing games, this is where this guy excels, especially because it's got the latest silicone inside. It is lightning quick, whether you're playing Fortnite, trying to get chicken dinners on PUBG, or still munching the good old Candy Crush, you will enjoy your experience because the display is so beautiful. And that speed, of course, applies to anything else. Multitasking, checking the good old Insta and social, it does crunch through that without a hint of lag, and of course, less crashes I've noticed, especially for Android. And all that power isn't really useful if your phone doesn't last the entire day, and I can say the biggest upgrade to the Note 9 has been the battery. 4,000 milliamps, which means it's got a lot of juice, and that's translated to me to easily a day and a half, even under heavy load. It also, of course, has wireless charging, but I would stick to the standard USB-C cable if you want to juice it up faster. Speaking of charging that up, I almost forgot about the nifty S Pen, which kind of makes the Note 9, I guess, very unique. You use it the first week, you think it's super dope. This year, of course, it's in a contrasting color. I, of course, think the one in blue is the best option. And after that first week, I find that it just kind of lives back in the phone. Haven't used it too much, haven't used it as a timer like it's kind of intended to. If anything, I'm signing a few documents or contracts, say for YouTube or for work, and that's honestly about it. And I'm just curious to hear your thoughts. If you have a Note device, how often do you use your S Pen, or does it just collect a bit of dust inside the phone? Switching to the back, and this is kind of true for all Samsung devices, it's completely made of glass, surrounded of course in metal. I would grab, of course, a dbrand skin on this guy. You can probably see it is a fingerprint magnet. Just keep your devices protected, just like you should do to the front to prevent any extra scratches. We've got the fingerprint sensor on the back, and on top of that, we of course have the cameras, 12 megapixel shooter, dual aperture. My opinion hasn't changed since launch. It's still one of the better cameras on the market. Of course, isn't as good as, say, the Pixel 2, but keep in mind that phone is almost a year old now. We've got the Pixel 3 coming out very, very soon in October. I do find that Samsung still tends to oversaturate things, but I guess the good thing is with this and the S9 Plus, it does have that dual aperture, f1.5 to 2.4, so even in low light, this guy still performs great. And maybe the two last things which I think justify the $1,000 price tag are the storage options. Comes stock in 128 gigs, of course 6 gigs of RAM on that, or you can get the 512 with 8 gigs of RAM, and you can still grab a 512 micro SD card, which theoretically you could get this guy up to 1 terabyte. For a phone, I think that's awesome. 128 gigs, in my opinion, should be industry standard. Big ups to Samsung for upping it. I think most of you should be fine with that option. And second off is actually the speakers, which kind of complements the entire media experience. They are AKG tuned, there's one up front as well as on the bottom, and just like the S9, S9 Plus, one of the best low-key features that not too many people mention. And I think a lot of you will be impressed, and it's something that I really notice a big difference when I look at other flagships of 2018. And anyways, that has been my revisited review of the Note 9. It's kind of stood the test for the past 30 days, still has an awesome display, has a killer battery life. Of course, the price is up there, but we're getting to a time where $1,000 smartphones are kind of a thing. You want to have one that is worth it, and definitely the Note 9 has been my favorite Samsung device of this year, and maybe one of my favorites in 2018. We'll of course compare this to the upcoming Pixel 3 XL, iPhone XS Plus, so make sure you guys stay posted and hope to catch you in one of those episodes or just another one on the channel. Peace!